Danger Dolan.
So patch 6.1 comes out for the US today, as well as the Oceanics, and it comes out in Europe tomorrow. What does actually 6.1 bring to the World of Warcraft, if anything?
A plethora of playable content that will keep us entertained for years to come, surely.
Okay, thank you, Blizzard Entertainment. Now can Danger Dolan tell me what patch 6.1's bringing us?
Like two things. One of them should have been in 6.0, Blood Elf models, and then you got a bunch of changes and a Twitter camera, and it's fun. It's fun stuff.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so bullshit aside, 6.1, considering now that these patches, 0.1, 0.2, 0.3, whatever number it goes to, these are now, since about Wrath of the Lich King, these have now conceived as major content patches.
Yeah.
What used to happen in pre-Wrath days with not so much in Burning Crusade, but certainly with Vanilla WoW, is you'd get patch 1.1.3.2.x.5, and they would kind of hotfix, and their hotfixes kind of came out like patches. Now we kind of get these hotfixes as ad hoc things, which just happen, unless of course they require, like with this tooltip change, apparently they require a proper update that needs to be integrated into a patch to actually happen. So 0.1, in this case 6.1, should be bringing with it, like you said at the beginning, a plethora of content. It should be doing a lot for us to do, because as far as I'm aware, I don't know if you're feeling the same, WOD's been out for just over 3 months now. I'm desperately struggling for things to do with my time. I'm literally only logging on to raid or to micromanage my followers. Other than that, I'm jumping around my garrison, or I'm jumping around Warspear thinking, what am I actually doing with my time?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people would argue that there is content to do. A lot of that stuff is optional. You can do that if you want. If you want to invest your time to the game, and let's say you have friends that you're playing with, there is some stuff that you can do. Just like with this new patch, there is some optional stuff that you can do. If you are interested in a certain thing like PvP or dungeons or raids, which is for a lot of people, that is the main end game where you get together with your friends to do stuff. That's not really happening in this new patch. And now every new patch, every 6.1 and 5.1 and that is the major thing that keeps the subscribers from the expansion launch. So the last piece of content we got was Blackrock Foundry, which was part of 6.0 content. And obviously they want that to keep people playing, because they've stretched that out to now, a few months from the expansion launch. And so this patch isn't exactly going to draw back a lot of people. There is some stuff they've added, mostly changes, mostly stuff they should have had in the expansion launch. And it's not great. It's not fantastic.
One thing that you brought up, which I find very interesting indeed, is when you said about there is still stuff to do. I absolutely agree with you. What I do think, though, is that Blizzard have to have a realistic expectation of content. And what I mean by that is, for instance, the Apexis Crystal Daily that we have in 6.0, there is no way that a sane-minded person can say, from now until 6.1, we envisage that people will be invested enough to do that Apexis Crystal Daily every single day. That isn't sane, rational thinking. It doesn't work. For a start, there's only a very limited number of areas, about 14 to 16 or so, let's say. Number two, they pretty much all involve doing the same thing. You arrive at the zone, you've got to fill up the bar from 1 to 1,000 or whatever it is, and you either pick up stuff to contribute towards that, or you kill stuff to contribute towards that. And that is pretty much what every single one is. So although there might be 16 different areas, they are pretty much doing the same things. It's not as if you're going somewhere and it's completely different. So, for instance, you're not arriving in Nagrand, and instead of just doing what I was talking about, you're suddenly getting onto some vehicular type of combat, and you're going with your cannons and your siege engines, and you're smashing this down, and that gives you that many points. So there's no real diversity, is what I'm trying to get at. There's nothing that goes, oh yeah, we got the Nagrand one up today. Yeah, I'm interested in it. I love doing that one. It's great. You smash stuff up. It's awesome. So it's all kind of samey stuff. And I run a shortish straw poll, which about 1,000 people or so responded to. And I gave 3 options. I said, are you just not even bothering doing the Apexis Crystal daily anymore? Because I can't be bothered to do it anymore. Do you rarely do it? Do you sometimes do it? Or do you do it all the time? And those are the 3 options. So I had 66% say, I don't even touch it anymore. And I think it's 32% said, I touch it. I touch it once in a blue moon, once in a while, not much. And there's only about 3 or 4% that said I do it all the time. And I think that is where you get your realistic longevity of content, because you just can't do that kind of stuff all the time. Yeah. So when 6.1, one of the biggest content introductions to 6.1 is the ability to do something which you're probably sick of, i.e. the Apexis Crystal daily already, over and over and over and over again, all day, every day, as long as you've got the garrison resources to purchase the missives. That's to me just bullshit.
Well, WoW today is kind of like the king of reusing content and recoloring it in different ways, or making it more difficult. So for raids, right, a lot of guilds just kind of die purely because they're doing the same raid on like 4 different difficulties, and by the end you're so burnt out and people are so sick of doing the same thing that they just can't be bothered waiting the 6 months or whatever it is for the new flashy raid. And just like with this patch coming out, it's like, with the dailies and summoning the raid boss to your garrison, even though summoning raid boss is cool, all of those bosses you've already done. They just happen to be in your garrison now. That's
and
not
they
not
don't
awesome.
even have the same loot table, do they?
No.
It's not as if when you kill them you get the loot table from that boss. No, you get a bag. Yeah. You get a bag that you have the chance to proc a 655 or a 645 item. There's no mounts in it at all, because of course the mythic rune saber is going onto the Blizzard store in patch 6.1 to be purchased with real money, as opposed to going in the game for us to find it. And something like that is very much like the garrison invasion. On paper it sounded like quite a good idea, but every garrison invasion was the same. Yeah. It didn't matter that they just changed the pixels, because instead of the Iron Horde invading, it was the Shadowmoon clan. They just did the same thing. Everything happened in exactly the same way. You would clear them out, and then you'd have a period of time where a mini boss would come in, you'd kill the mini boss, then you had to last for a certain amount of time, and then the final boss would come in. It was all the same formula. There was nothing different. So that just got very boring very, very quickly indeed. Yep. And I thought something which was going to hold my interest, which the garrison invasion I hoped would, brought nothing to the table. For instance, when the Everbloom attacked, they're more of a vegetative type of enemy. So why wasn't there something in there that you were setting up fire traps, or you could get onto a harpoon that had a blazing end to it, and you were firing stuff like that at them? There should have been different styles of the invasion. Each invasion should have had a different style to it and a different tempo to it. Some might have just been all out. It makes sense that the Iron Horde attacking just is an all-out frag fest, because that's pretty much what the Iron Horde is, aren't they? They're like a locust that spreads across the land. So it'd be a very visceral type of invasion. But the Shadowmoon clan, they're more mystical, they're more magic-based. There should have been much more to focus on that. The Everbloom, as I said, they're sort of vegetation, so there should have been probably more fire for us to try and burn them down. And this, that, and the other. That's how it should have worked. This world boss, this raid boss, whichever one you proc, whichever one you get from your reward bag that you can summon in, it might be great for the first couple of weeks, but I really don't see it really going anywhere. How many people do the invasion now? I wouldn't say unless you're really going for the achievement. won't see masses amounts of people are kind of doing that. It's this realistic expectation of content longevity to try and keep people tied in. And I just think Blizzard come at it from the point of view that, well, that's what we've put in, that's going to have to tie them over. I don't think anyone realistically looks at the fact to say, look, guys, that's good and all. It's a really good idea, but it's going to be a fad. It's going to be a faddy idea. It's only going to keep people interested for 2 or 3 weeks, really, other than that. But I don't see things like... And I mean, you talked about recycling of content.
Yeah.
Sorry for kind of waffling a wee bit here.
That's all right.
But the dungeons, again, 6.1 could have benefited from having new dungeons added. The dungeons we currently have, they're all obsolete. They're not giving anyone any gear that they need. Even the toughest of dungeons is giving blue 630 level. You can already jump into LFR Highmaul and get 640. You can open up a reward bag in 6.1 that you could possibly get a 645, 655, and stuff like that. So instead of introducing a couple of new dungeons, which probably would have worked very well, no, you get a daily quest. One of the daily quests might be to go back into the old dungeons that nobody needs to do, fight your way through 15, 20 to 25 minutes of this dungeon to get to a final boss that still doesn't drop anything you want, but that will unlock a reward bag. Yeah. And it's this kind of reliance on the reward bag system. The world boss, reward bag. Going into a dungeon, a reward bag. It's like, doing the same old shit. Sorry.
Yeah, it's like... every time they dangle a piece of gear in front of something, let's say the scenarios, the 3-person scenarios, it's like as soon as they do that and it rewards some nice piece of gear and the difficulty is all right, and suddenly it's hell is a success. So you go back and do these old dungeons with these new dailies from 6.1. You clear it all, you blaze through it because the difficulty is ridiculously low now. And you get to the end, you get like a bag that has a random piece of, it might be decent gear. Once again, there's RNG involved in that. But you also get, for people who don't care about gear that much, though, they have another little incentive for you to go do that. They have the token that makes it so you can summon the raid boss into your garrison, so therefore you can get gear from that boss. So it's like you feel obligated to go back and do all this old recycled content just for the slim chance that you might get this thing to get a little bit of gear so that you can do a little bit better in raids. And it seems like, I'm going through the list of features that they're going to introduce in 6.1, and I'm just shocked at how much kind of recycled stuff there is. Like, even just the music box, right? Even that is like, you go around and you collect stuff. You go like music things, just so you can listen to the music you've already listened to in every zone, but you can choose which one you want to go with. So I personally, I don't do that because I'm going to do that because I've ripped the song files out of the game. And I just listen to that, on loop. Like if for everyone else, if you don't want to be bothered collecting music things, however they're going to do it, I'm not actually sure. I'm going the beta to test to see how you actually go around getting the song files.
I think you actually have to kill. You have to open the chest from the Gurabashi arena to get one.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. But for everyone else, just go. I think there's a YouTube channel called Wow Musicable. Just go on that. He's got like every music file. Just listen to all those songs, and you'll get the same kind of experience. So you've also got the heirloom tab. Once again, it's like they've technically that's a change, but they've added incentives to make it look like you should go back and do it again, which is like you collect all the heirlooms, you can get this level 1 mount that you can use the level 1, and it's like 60% speed, and you're gonna feel crippled now unless you actually have this thing, so you have to collect all the heirlooms. And it's the exact same thing as the dungeon boss loot bag at the end. It's just old content that you don't really need to do, but there is an incentive to make you feel like you should do it. Just like people felt like they should check their garrison every 2 seconds to make sure everything's efficient. It just makes you feel like you should be doing it, when in reality, you're just going to get burnt out and not want to play anymore, unfortunately.
But so this is why you need to have a good, diverse plethora of content. And this is where we get pigeonholed, where we have in 6.1 with 6.0 and 6.1 really, with things like the Apexis Crystal grind, because you feel as if you've got to do it. Because I can't get the mounts from the Exalted Reputations. unless I have the Apexis crystal. So I got to do that really. Otherwise, I can't get her always. So what's a good way to get Apexis crystal days? Well, there's only one. There's only one good way to get Apexis crystals, and that's to do the daily, because it gives you 800 to 1,000. But if I wanted to go out into the world, explore, just have a play, and kill some mobs while I'm there that are getting in my way, what will they drop? 1, 2 Apexis crystals. Wait a minute, I need 5,000 for that mount. Well, you better get doing the daily then. So it kind of almost pigeonholes you and forces you to do that content, because there's no way if you don't do the Apexis crystal daily that you're going to have enough Apexis crystals to buy a piece of gear, to buy that follower, or to buy that mount.
They've even made it worse by making it so you can't join a raid group when you're doing these quests anymore. I don't know. Do they have a solution for that, or is it just they're just going to get rid of it because they don't want people to, quote unquote, cheat?
They're just getting rid of it.
Oh, for fuck's sake! Like, I mean, this is like reforging again. Don't just remove it and don't offer a solution. Actually, come up with a solution before you remove it, because now
their solution is the missives. That's their solution. It's the missives that you purchase from the Garrison Quartermaster in 6.1 for 200 garrison resources, which allow you to go and do another Apexis crystal daily.
What?
This is the bulk of the content. These missives which you buy from the Garrison Quartermaster, and it says this is a scouting missive to go to this zone. And when I first saw these on the PTR, I was just like, fuck yes. This is going to be really cool. We're going to start doing some scouting missions. So I grabbed one. I bought one with 200 garrison resources, and it took me to... I went to one that was nearby to my garrison. It was one where all the... it begins with M. I can't remember off the top of my head. But it's the one in the north of... Pretty much directly in the north of Frostfire Ridge. And I got there, and I was like, wait a minute, this is where we do our Apexis Crystal Daily. And then I clicked onto the missive, and it was just like... Then it brought up that bar... 0 to 800 or whatever it is, and it's just like, you are fucking kidding me. So that is their response to no longer being able to be in raid farm groups, which, can I just say for the record, I've been involved in a few, are actually quite good fun, because you feel part of a community, which you just don't do in WoD because you're all sat in your garrison alone, crying, no friends. So you're actually in a huge group of people, and it felt quite good. And because you're all going round this big area, for example, the quarry in Gorgrond, you had this vibe of an army. You really had this kind of vibe of like an army rampaging through, attacking the Iron Horde. So and you could stay for as long as you wanted, and then you could leave. It didn't matter, because they'd just get somebody else in because they've got it on the group finder. So people are applying all the time to come in. So if one person goes, it's all right. Then you just click one of the list of people you'll have flashing on your mini-map to join in and take their place. So you could farm for as long or as little as you wanted to. If you only wanted to do the daily and then GTFO, that was up to you. And so it wasn't so bad. But now, no, stopped. Stop. No more Apexis crystals that way. What you got to do, you got to do it on your fucking own or in a party.
Yeah, it seems like they've gotten rid of efficiency and replaced it with just more work, just more stuff they have to do. That sounds fun.
No, well, this is exactly it. And so if you've got this... Okay, I did a very small straw poll, about 1,000 people. But if let's just say that straw poll is rather indicative of what the community thinks. If you've got 96% of people going, I can't be fucked to do it now, they're not going to suddenly give a fuck in 6.1.
Yep.
They're going to be like, oh, right, so the bulk of my content is to do this over and over again? Fuck you. I'm out of here. That's going to be the response.
Yeah.
Right, okay, I want to get this reward bag from this new dungeon. Where's the dungeons? Oh, it's the old ones that you haven't touched for 2 months because they were obsolete after 4 weeks. Oh, I don't want to do that. Tough shit. That's your content. What this jukebox in my garrison? What do I have to do? Oh, you just go around the world, every world, finding sound files for music which is already in the game, which you can either, like you say, tear from a website, or I believe there's actually add-ons which you could have, which will just allow you to select the music that you want. and then you've got your twatter and your face fuck.
Yeah.
Your twatter and your selfie cam that is purely there. I mean, it's not even being cynical, it's just being realistic.
Yeah.
The Twitter integration is for no other reason than for Blizzard to allow self-promotion of their product.
Yeah, it's marketing. It's just a marketing thing. That it's disguised as content.
Yes, it's nothing to do with I want Danger Dolan to tweet a picture of WoW because that's really cool, and I noticed that he likes to use Twitter every now and again, or for Hill versus Babyface to do the same. That'd be really cool. A lot of people love Twitter. Isn't it great if we just have a quick look? But no. It's they might even have, because I think it automatically sets up if you wanted to tweet a picture, for example, I think it automatically sets up the content of the tweet unless you physically delete it and rewrite it. So if I dinged level 100 and I click the Twitter button, it would say something like, "Hey everyone," I'm just brain farting here, but it'd be something like, "Hey everyone, I've just dinged level 100 on my character," and it'll have something like #WOD, or #World of Warcraft, or something like that in an effort to get World of Warcraft trending. On Twitter. So that's why it's there. People see the trends of World of Warcraft and it becomes a promotional tool. So that's the only reason why it's there. And the selfie cam, seriously, I said at the beginning of it, it was harmless fun. The more you kind of think about it, the more retarded it kind of feels, to be perfectly honest with you. Because it is literally a screenshot with your hand blocking 3/4 of the fucking shot.
Or your hand gets cut off at the end and it looks like, you just got a bloodied stump of a hand.
Or if you're a human, I don't think it even puts your arm up and it just looks exactly like a screenshot. Which is that is when I found that out on the PTR, that I did laugh at. Here's my selfie. Oh no, it's just identical to a screenshot where I turn the camera and look at myself. So I don't understand that. Yes, you can have it upgraded to an epic version and you can get the filters. So not only can you pretend it's a selfie cam, but you can now pretend it is also, Instagram. And then, of course, once you've set up all your filters and everything, then you can tweet it and get Blizzard trending.
Ridiculous. It just, oh my god, this is just like some Facebook post or something. It's
some Facebook game.
Yeah.
This is our content for 6.1, and recycled dailies, recycled dungeons, recycled brain cells with Twitter and Facebook, recycled world bosses. Exactly.
How the fuck did we get
have
here?
we got to this position? I really gave Blizz the benefit of the doubt for 6.0. You said yourself when you did your video on all the World of Warcraft creators, and you got onto myself and you did a little portion on myself, and you said, check out his Azchat's video, give Warlords of Draenor a chance.
Yep.
You said, check that video out. And that was like an hour-long video where I was saying, and I'd been so pessimistic and I'd been so scathing about Mist, and I was just like, we've got to put all that behind. I know, exactly. I personally call it realism, but there you go. Yeah. I said you've got to put all that behind us. The ideas which came out in BlizzCon 2013 sound really cool. Garrisons sound really cool. An alternate dimension or going back in time, which we didn't know at the time which one it was going to be, but that in itself sounds fantastic. We all love Burning Crusade. It's got a massive following, massive fan base there. To see what Draenor would look like whole is a fucking awesome idea. I wanted to know what Hellfire Peninsula was like when Draenor was complete, or Shadowmoon Valley, and to see them in these Tanaan jungle and Shadowmoon Valley looking completely different was absolutely epic. And the visuals of it were outstanding. And then, of course, the garrison, the way that they described the garrison really sounded cool and interesting. So, I was really like, get behind this. And then as the beta progressed, a lot of it got watered down. Some of it got taken out. Yeah. Temple of Karabor getting removed as a capital city was bullshit. Bladespire Fortress getting removed. Again, bullshit. Killed communities there. Killed them flat dead. Where was the battlegrounds? You couldn't just all rely on Ashran. Ashran had to work. It had to work 100% for that singular bit of PvP content to be worthy, and it didn't work at all. It went through so many transformations that it looked nothing like how it was going to be in BlizzCon, where they were talking about you build your siege vehicles, you assault the base, it's all destructible and all this kind of stuff. Sounded quite Wintergrasp-y, as if they did Wintergrasp on the size of a map that was Warsong Gulch. And you know, it was just like, that didn't work. So what was the alternative for PvPers? Nothing. But I get, you know, you give them all the benefit of the doubt because, yeah, you know, the leveling up was so good. The leveling up experience was brilliant. It would have been epic if, again, they just allowed a little bit more choice of where to go, i.e. you either went to Gorgrond or Talador. You know, something like that. If they'd done that, it would have pushed it even further, but it was still a great experience.
The launch of the expansion was really great, and the questing just felt like as epic as it ever was. The art was amazing. Pretty much all of that was great, and for the first couple of weeks the expansion was great and everyone loved it, including me. But now it just feels like there's just I have the exact same feeling now as I did in Cataclysm when I first saw the 0.1 patch for it with the reskinned troll dungeons. And from there, I mean, the expansion launch for Cataclysm was fucking awesome. I don't care what anyone says. I loved it to death. And everything after that was just a shit stain. And it made me embarrassed. Mr. Pandora, even though, you know, we're not fans of the expansion, still had some pretty damn good patches. I personally love Timeless Isle. I thought it was awesome.
I thought 5.2 was by far the best patch of that expansion.
Yeah. Isle of Thunder, definitely.
So Isle of Thunder, in
terms of patch production, they really knocked it out of the park there. But now I feel exactly the same way as I do with Cataclysm. I feel like they're going to rush straight to 6.2. Do that as the next major raid. It's going to be the kind of quality you would find in Timeless Isle, and then we're just going to skip straight to the next expansion. I reckon that's what's going to happen, personally.
But you bring up a really good point. I mean, first of all, you said, how did we get here to 6.1?
Yeah.
After all we've just discussed about our hopes. All right, what didn't launch as it should have done, in as much as there were slots broken. But the actual content was brilliant.
Yes.
You know, and when you got onto DRAENOR, that was all brilliant. I think that's what you're trying to say there.
Yeah. Up to level 100.
Physical release. Yeah. The actual, when you got there and everything was working, then that was really cool. So how would you get to 5.1? And then you've just said it. You've kind of sold me from chats we've had personally between ourselves that I am now thinking, oh my God, I think you could be right here. 6.2 could be the final patch of this expansion. No,
I'm pretty sure.
It legitimately could be the final patch. We could be opening up Tanaan Jungle, having the Iron Citadel, because I think it's going to be called the Iron Citadel instead of Hellfire.
Yeah, something Citadel. Like that. Yeah.
So it's going to be like the Iron Citadel. It's going to be the raid. And Farahlon's off. That's gone. No. The other small island, that's gone.
No, they're done.
And they're just going, right, we've made content. We've got a load of subs back. Brilliant. We've done fuck all for 6.1. Because honestly, how long does the content we discussed, how long does that take you to make? 5 fucking minutes.
Yeah.
Recycled Apexis Crystal Dailies. How long does that take? 5 minutes. Getting a world boss or a raid boss that already exists into your garrison. 5 minutes. Jukebox. 5 minutes.
I think though we're missing fundamental, really big piece of content coming in 6.1 that's going to change the game entirely. Blood Elf models.
I want to play devil's advocate, go really cynical here.
Yeah,
go beyond my even reaches of cynicism. I think this is planned.
Yeah?
I legitimately think this was planned. I'm being uber Captain Cynical with massive bell ends on. Because when Blizzard were doing the beta for Warlords of Draenor, about halfway through the character model revamp, they tweeted out to the community, because I don't think they talk to people in blue posts anymore, they just tweet.
Yeah.
Have 140 characters to say something which needs several paragraphs and end up annoying the shit out of everyone because the information isn't translated well, but that's by the by. But they tweeted out, which character models do you want to see done next? And the overwhelming answer was Blood Elf models. It pissed on anything. it was just blood elf, blood elf, blood elf, blood elf, blood. Absolutely shat all over. I don't even think human males had come out by this time. You know, and even the human males were getting like pushed to one side. Blood elves. So I just had this really kind of cynical idea of a meeting which took place where they've just gone, they want blood elves. Right, okay. So we hold blood elves back for 6.1. We finish all the other ones off. People are going to like the male human model, let's just say. They're going to like the new troll female models. So we're going to have X amount of money probably generated from race changes because of that. We keep blood elf models the same, so people feel a little bit hard done by that their blood elf doesn't look as good as anyone else. They race change, we make approximately X amount of money from that. 6.1, we release blood elf models. How much fucking cash are we going to make from race changes?
That's hardcore speculation.
That is hardcore. That is tin foil on your head, conspiracy theorists. But the point is, if Blizzard supported the game properly, like if 6.1 was coming out with proper content, you wouldn't really have these kind of thoughts, would you? Because you would think you're being looked after anyway. You know, yeah, okay, maybe they did make Blood Elf models and it didn't turn out how they wanted, so they redid them. Good on them for doing so. You would probably personally be more of that kind of mindset. But when they don't, and 6.1 to me is I think it's a spit in the face of the community. I do. I just think it's them going, we don't care if you go, because in 8 months' time, at BlizzCon, we're going to announce a new expansion, and you're all going to fucking come back because you're our bitch. And they're not going to care. They're really not going to fucking care. And 6.2 will be with us for 2 years because it'll get delayed and all that kind of stuff. The expansion. You know, it's
yeah. Go ahead.
No, go on.
You know, it seems like what was I going to say? If they had actually changed the subscription model so that instead of paying per month for essentially a service to the game, they just made it kind of free to play. Like if they keep going down this route where they're not really going to release any significant patches, maybe just one and then a new expansion, they might be just better off instead of calling it like a service to play WoW to just make say buy the expansion. They have a lot of shit on the Blizzard store, a lot more than they have now, a lot of cosmetic-y stuff, and just got rid of the subscription model, and then that way they don't even have.
Can't
probably
do that.
Not. I mean,
they can't do that because they make too much money from the subscriptions while putting the stuff on the Blizz store.
Yeah.
Look how many mounts are on the Blizzard store right now. I mean, it's like 10, 11 or so on the Blizzard store right now. Look how many pets are on the Blizzard store right now.
Obviously, they want the best of both worlds. You know, they want to have this kind of skeleton crew working on these patches.
It. It's about uber profit. It's not about making a decent profit. It's about uber profit now. It's where the customer gets sacrificed because you've got to make uber profits. You can't make 50 million and be happy. No, you've got to make 150 million for you to be happy. And even then, if you get to the 150 million, well, if you've got here, you could do better. So it all comes at the sacrifice of us, the consumer, because our best interests are no longer in their heart. They're not looking at the game and saying, right, how do we make the community happy? Where you do see that in places like Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy XIV Around Reborn, where the amount of content which they are constantly putting on to make sure the community always have new stuff to do and understand and appreciate the longevity of existing content, whether the person's finished it or not. If they haven't finished it in 4 months or 6 months, whatever, they ain't going to do it. You know, they're going to do it at their leisure. That's when they're going to do it. It might take them 2 years, 3 years to get around to doing everything. But if they're not interested in the first 6 months of it, they're not suddenly going to get interested if we just keep dragging it out a little bit longer. Blizzard don't have that. They don't have that at all because they have us. You know, and we're fools. We are fools.
I think my original point was that if they had gone free to play, then I don't think I would have nearly as much problem with them releasing these skeleton patches. But if you're paying month by month, you expect some, you know, something to keep you going. You don't expect this shit. Like this is just like a 0.096 patch, not a 0.1.
It's a 2. This is a 2.2 patch.
Yeah.
The only thing they introduced, I think, was voice. Was in-game voice control. That was it. The infamous 2.2 patch.
Apart from that, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's what we've got. That's all. That's all we are getting here. We're getting recycled garbage that's not going to keep people happy, and even the people who choose to ignore people like ourselves and say, you are doom mongers, you are pessimistic. I choose not to listen to you, which they have absolutely right to do. When they play, is when they go on to 6.1, and after they've, when they summon the world boss in, and it's cool, and when they go and get their reward bag and they open it up and they get a 655 item and they're happy, when those 5 minutes are over, realism will start hitting the community sooner rather than later. So, we could look at 6.1 tomorrow, Wednesday, for Europe, and people are still going to be relatively buoyed because it's going to feel as if there's new content. Yeah. Yes, you can summon your world boss. Yes, you do have this daily. Yes, you can work on getting Harrison Jones as a follower for your garrison and all that kind of stuff. And there will be a little bit of an excited vibe.
Yeah,
you can't help that.
Quests and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. You can get Garrona as your legendary follower as well, and stuff like that. But if we look at 6.1, literally in a shorter period of time, is like 2 weeks' time. It's the feel, all that 6.1 tomorrow, Wednesday feel is gonna. I tell you what, it will be long gone.
Yeah.
Long. And how many people are still going to be doing their daily, or how many people? And one of the things which kind of really summed up the oh my god nature of it is Blizzard are so desperate to try and produce some sort of community spirit in WoD because they annihilated the great Karabor, Temple of Karabor, and Bladespire fortresses, capital cities. So we all just hover around in our garrison doing nothing. Is the daily quest, and there's only 5 different types of daily. It's like, there's like a treasure hunting short mission. There's a single boss to kill. There's the dungeon one, and then there's a couple of. I think one of them's actually classes as summoning the raid boss and the world boss. I think actually classes as one of them. But you get this daily mission. If you invited me to your party, I could go to your garrison and pick up your daily. So in theory, I could actually have done all the 5 dailies on offer on day 1. Because I could just go to 5 different people. You just go in your guild or your friends list and you say, which daily mission have you got? I've got Harrison Jones. Okay, I'll come to your garrison and I'll grab Harrison Jones. Which limits your content even more.
Yeah, like if you break down, because we've already kind of talked about the main features, which is the new daily quest, the heirloom thing, and the selfies, blood off models, music box. You also got follower missions. I don't really say that's new content. That's just like kind of UI updates. Little things they can add in 2 seconds. One of the interns can add those in. It's really, I imagine it to be really simple. But apart from that, you've just got a lot of improvements. They've improved work orders, cosmetic changes, graphic changes, talent class balances, flight path improvements. It's just this stuff that nobody cares about. Although you actually do have some new stuff in Darkmoon Fair, I don't really think it's substantial content. You've also got new pets in old content. Once again, you're recycling old stuff. Also, they fixed it so that the reputation you get from doing a random dungeon isn't to do with Pandaria places anymore. It's about fucking time. What the hell took so long?
Oh, sorry, you mean that very basic thing which absolutely should have been in 6.0?
Yeah.
Just like a lot of these changes that you're mentioning, a lot of them are 6.0 fixes. Which, to be perfectly honest with you, should have been done ready for 6.0, but they simply ran out of time.
Yeah.
How and to kind of put this into even bigger perspective, and this is where I really kind of do get a little bit of pit in my stomach rage, is Blizzard boasted about, I might be a bit cruel by saying boasted, but they certainly said to the community, one of the reasons why your content was so limited in Mists was we've boosted our team from 150 people to 220. So we had to train these people up. And to train these people up, unfortunately, it sacrificed what we could do in game because people weren't on the same level. So you've now got a fully functioning, up to speed, 220 people, and they make 6-point wank coming out. That's because that is embarrassing. It's just embarrassing.
If you can believe the leak that came out not too long ago about how the next expansion is like feature complete at this stage, that would imply, like, I mean, let's just do what we always do and wait until the next BlizzCon and wait to hear, you know, what they've been working on and, you know, whether or not they can actually pull the new expansion out of their ass and get it released within a year instead of, you know, us waiting 2 years and a year of no content. So if that's to be believed, that would explain where the new recruits have gone. It's every year Blizzard have said we want to make yearly expansions for the last like 5 years, and it's never happened.
At least since Cataclysm. Yeah. At least they've been saying that since Cataclysm.
And like we're gonna see, but like me saying we're gonna see, I always say that like every year. Oh, we'll see what they've been working on at BlizzCon, and then we're gonna get there, and they're gonna be like, oh yeah, we're working hard on this new expansion, and then like, you know, 3 years later we'll finally get it.
But they've got 220 people now. We get this monstrosity, which is 6.1. Let's just say that those bulk of the people are working on the next expansion. Still leaves that original 150 odd people with this crap that's 6.1.
Yep.
And then we look at 3.1, where Blizzard had, I think, approximately 90 employees working on Wrath of the Lich King. And you had Ulduar, and you had the Argent Tournament, and you had, you know, things like Dual Spec came in, which is a proper game-changing feature. It's not, you know, it's not a tie-up, but it's a it changed the way the World of Warcraft was, because suddenly we weren't pigeonholed into one spec. We could branch out. You know, so you got this huge 14 boss raid, and then you say, well, yeah, but clearly they're making up for what would have been a lack of content in 6.0.
Yeah,
3.0.
Yeah.
Oh, so you mean the huge Naxxramas with the Malagos, with the Sartharian, the 3 raids that came out there, with all the dungeons that were also up in epic heroic mode as well. All the, you know, how many dungeons came out on launch? I think it was like 10 or 12 that came out on launch, and then they added a few more hither and dither as it went on. I think at the end, you know, so the content in 3.0 was really quite substantial, and then the content in 3.1 was substantial, and then 3.2 you had the Argent Tournament plus the additional dungeon, you know, and that was all setting up to the Ice Crown Citadel, which is another huge bloody raid, you know. So what these people are doing, I don't know. What Blizzard have got them directed to do, I don't know. But it's you can't blame the developer, you know, you can't blame the programmer here. This has all got to be coming from the top. This has all got to be coming from your Ian Hazacostas and Tom Chiltons and people like that, because they are directing the way in which the game is going. They might be working on different facets of it, but they are directing where the game is going. And to me, it's just a clear example of we try and get away with as little as possible to make as much as we can now. And you as a customer, you as a subscriber are no longer our main focus. Our shareholder is the main focus. That making sure they're happy and profited up to the eyeball is our main focus. You now come in a distant second. We just have to figure out ways to keep you paying to keep them happy, as opposed to we need to think of ways to keep you happy so you keep paying. And they're two fundamentally different things. I work on this as a living, so this is kind of what I do. Whether I'm optimistic or pessimistic, this is what I do. But if I was getting well looked after, I would be more inclined to pay a subscription fee as opposed to not. And there's a lot of people that don't tolerate what other people will, like my housemates and my best friend and all that kind of stuff. They came back for WOD, and a couple of months later, just like, I ain't got anything to, we've got stuff to do. And they don't, admittedly, they don't raid, so they kind of pass on that.
I always tell everyone, because like, even though I'm a huge fan of WoW and I really like the game, even if this kind of stuff happens, I always tell people, don't play the game for like the whole 2 years between expansions. Come back for a new expansion, play it for a little bit. If there's a major patch coming out, come back and play it. Just subscribe for that month. Then leave and don't come back because nothing's going to be happening. You're going to burn yourself out. You're not going to want to play a new expansion. Just wait the 2 years or whatever it is, then come back and you'll really enjoy the new expansion launch, like I always do, because I always take breaks between the last patch and the new expansion, because there's no point playing in that period.
Unless you're hardcore raiding almost. That would be your only, and even then you're just getting gear which is going to be obsolete. And it was quite funny because I did a little bit, not a huge lot of raiding, I did a little bit of raiding towards the end of Mists. That's kind of what got me the bugbear to get back into raiding. And I think I went into Warlords of Draenor with an item level of around, just say for argument's sake, 570 to 580, round about there. Actually, I think it's slightly over 580. I think it's 584. So I went into this expansion with 584, and I think I switched out 3 pieces of gear during my leveling up, which didn't give me any sort of satisfaction at all, really. I loved the leveling. I've said that. I loved it. But I wanted to get gear, and it just wasn't dropping the gear because, of course, when you purchased or when you got your free level 90 inverted commas that you paid extra money for Warlords of Draenor, because people still don't understand that, but never mind. Where you paid extra for Warlords of Draenor because you got your free level 90, that was arriving with an item level of, what was it, 483?
Yeah,
so
like
of course all the gear had to scale for them, not for the raiders, not for the people that stayed with the game longer. So you got little out of it. And then I started to level up my rogue, who I hardly touched in Mists at all. And I got it from 90 to 100 in good time, and I was like getting gear every all over the place. I was dropping gear from mobs I was killing that I was equipping, and I was loving that sort of stuff. So the longer you kind of stay with the game, i.e. the more loyal you are to Blizzard, the less you actually kind of get from them for it. Yeah, it's just such a bizarre sort of circumstance, which I don't quite understand. And if 6.2 is to be the final patch, it's not guaranteed. We're speculating. But they might even chuck in a tiny 6.3 to make it look like it isn't. But, if 6.2 is to become the final patch, then that will probably take us into BlizzCon with Blizzard, announcing the new expansion. And if sort of goes the way that you said, with them working on it in the background, and that's where the most focus is. Fuck the new one. We've got the 10 million people back. Fuck Warlords now. Let's think about, the Dark Below or the High Seas pirate one, or whatever you want to do. Then they announce it at BlizzCon, and it is an immediate beta. Beta starts tomorrow. Beta starts now.
That would be ideal. Yeah, that'd be still like 6 months, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But then of course you got your 6.3, which is you get Facebook integration.
Oh man, I'm so into that.
I know. So that's going to tie people over for that. It's a content patch. You get Facebook.
Well, to be honest, I think if they're going to do that and release the expansion like really fast, their 6.3, if this is the level of quality that they're aiming for, 6.1, 6.3 is probably going to be like another Hellion patch, the Ruby Sanctum Wrath, where it's like a one boss raid tier. It's essentially to bring people back to say, hey, look, WoW has something in it, and therefore you should read the news and see that we're releasing a new expansion soon. That might work for them. Although their marketing has gotten ridiculously good. You see how many numbers they got back for this new expansion. The marketing is insane. It's less to do with how much content they bring in the new expansion, because it's about the same as every other expansion. But the people have just come back in droves, so they did something right there.
Yeah, but a lot of what they did at Warlords sounded attractive, and certainly what they announced at BlizzCon in 2013, I was Giddy's a schoolgirl. That's
Yeah.
why I released this hour-long video on why I thought, give Warlords a chance. It's why I did it. It's because it had this talk about Ashran. And the way that I thought when they said it's going to be Ultrac Valley 2.0, and they're their own words, it's going to be more akin to Ultrac Valley. So I'm automatically thinking of Ashran. They're ingraining in my brain the psychological, brain game they're playing with me, that Ashran is going to be approximately the size of Ultrac Valley. So I have this huge, almost zone size of a PvP map, and I'm thinking, holy shit, this is going to get me interested in PvP again. Because, we're going to have these battles where we have in Ultrac Valley where 5 of us are going to defend the Icewing Bunker, or we're going to defend Belinda, or attack Belinda, or whatever it may be. And you can have these like skirmish groups that Blizzard are talking about. Then you have the vehicles which are going to be assaulting Ashran with destructible content, and to do so you're going to gain these materials from killing people, which you take back to your main faction fortress on Ashran, and start to develop these siege engines, and you're all sort of like, ooh, yeah, and then it turns out to be Warsong Gulch with a fucking pathway going between the middle.
Yeah, it turned out to be a postage stamp in which you either follow the ball of people or you get killed endlessly in your base. Yeah.
Yes, but the damage had already done. They embedded the seed of what it's going to be. You're going to have 2 fantastic capital cities, the unbelievable Temple of Caribou, which does look unreal in the game, and then the Bladespar Fortress, which looks really imposing and dominating with the being an ogre base and stuff. And so that's already implanted in your brain. Awesome, wow, amazing capital cities. No, you get 2 fucking huts in Ashran tagged onto the end of it, that when you arrive there's a banner that goes over your head saying, please PvP, please join. It's already been ingrained in your brain from BlizzCon. This is what it's going to be. People are watching the BlizzCon stuff. A lot of people don't watch our, channels like yours or mine when we do beta stuff, because they don't want to know. They just listen to BlizzCon, they see what's in development and what's going to happen, and then they turn off, tune out, and get excited. Yeah. And I can fully understand why people would do that. It's how I used to operate. Yeah. I just used to find out what's going on, what's to be expected, what features they're announcing, and then, like a stupid moron, expect them to deliver with what they've said. But with Warlords, it didn't. Ashran, the capital cities, what garrisons were shaping up to be, turned out to be a little bit of a shell of what they turned out to be. But at least there was some development there with the buildings. And then as soon as it got announced, they suddenly nerf all the requirements to get level 3 buildings. Just like, why? This is the whole, isn't this the whole point of trying to develop a garrison? So now within 2 weeks, everyone's got level 3 garrisons with level 3 buildings, and they're just like,
yep.
What the WTF to do? And then you have stupidity things like, well, do you want the best food in the game? Yeah, I do want the best food in the game. Where is it on my cooking tab? Oh, yeah, that cooking tab, that's shit now. Because you get the best food in the game from a barn. No, what? No, but I've got cooking. I've been working on cooking for 7 years. Yes, and aren't you stupid? Get a barn. And they're changing 96.1. They're now making cooking foods better, but individual, not feasts. Only going to be individual food. But, just stupid things like that. How do I get... All right, okay, I want to upgrade my necklace. So I need this savage blood. Where can I farm some of that or do that? Barn! Are you not paying attention? Got to get it from the barn. But, no, okay, you're right. Fine, all right. The barn's got savage blood, but where else can I get it from? The barn! It's the only fucking place that drops it. It's like, where do these stupidity ideas come from?
We're forgetting one key piece of content that has to do with garrisons. Garrisons are now getting their own loading screens.
That's it. I'm resubscribing right now.
Yeah. No, that's it. That's the whole expansion. That's all good.
My credit card details. £2,000.
Yeah.
There you go, Blizz. Thank you.
I just boosted like 15 characters to level 90 just so I could experience this.
Yeah, and I also did some account sharing a method to get them some more some druids. Actually, I bought them some druids so they can play with those in 6.1 in their brand new garrison with the new the new loading screen, which I'm pretty sure they put down as a feature. Yeah,
no, it is. It's like it's actually highlighted here as a new loading screen. It's like content, it's playable content.
Wow. So yeah, so so you've already got ingrained from BlizzCon 2013 these great ideas, and then the game comes out and it's got them severely watered down.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are going to rush out patches like 6.1, this drivel that's coming out tomorrow, Wednesday, or today and tomorrow, if they are going to do that kind of stuff, then what is even the point in playing an expansion if they're going to rush them out once a year? It's to me that would actually put me off WoW more, because at least with an expansion being 2 years long, I feel as I've got time to grow into the expansion and to experience all the raids properly. It's just going to be like speed dating. If they kind of wash it out once a year, it's just going to be like speed dating. Okay, so quickly, you sit there. You sit there. Right, she's 7.0. She's going to bring with it a 6-boss raid. Okay, and she's also got 2 dungeons. Say hello. What do you like? I can't talk. Sorry. Right, drag it away now. Right, this is Lady 6.7.1. Okay, she's going to bring with her no raids, but don't hold that against her. She's going to bring with her 3 dungeons though, and a new daily based isle. Okay, so I'm going to wait. No, come on. 7.2 here. Look at 7.2. Wow, she's got the biggest raids out of all the girls. I know you like raids. She's got a 12 boss raid there, and that's going to tie you over, because you know that lady over there. Yeah. She's 8.0. That's what it's going to be like, and it's going to be like, yeah, but I didn't get to talk to 7.1 properly. 7.1 as she is so last X back, because it's all about 8.0 now. You're not gonna feel as if you've got any time to settle in.
Or settle in with the one piece of content that it comes with,
Which, put it this way, we are getting to the point in 6.0 where we definitely need a new patch now.
Yeah.
There is not enough. With the dungeons becoming... And let's just... If we totally put any cynicism aside and we looked at this just from a very kind of meh position, dungeons are now irrelevant. You can't say dungeons are still relevant. You can just... Everyone can agree now. Nobody's going to gain any benefit from dungeons unless you are almost like a brand new player who is experiencing WoW for the first time, and you're still trying to develop your level 100 character. You're still a few pieces of gear off. Or, and I hate to bring this in, you're onto your 15th ult by now, and you might want to just try and sneak something from a heroic dungeon that's going to push you into LFR. Other than that, they are content which is passed us by. The reputation grind, which we have in 6.0, is inane.
Yeah.
It is absolutely inane. You can't say, have you got your laughing skull or your shattered, whatever it may be, I can't remember, Shatari defense, I think it is, reputation yet. No, because I don't want to spend 58 fucking hours getting from neutral to friendly, because they're all giving me 2 rep or 4 rep.
Yeah.
That's an inane way to get reputation.
Oh,
absolutely ridiculous.
Like, welcome to every argument where you say there's not enough content in the game. It's like, oh, well, have you done Mythic on like 5 different tunes, and have you got reputation with everyone? It's like, exactly. Yeah, that's fun. That sounds great.
4 levels of raid difficulty.
Yeah, that sounds great.
What is that? And going back to 3.2, or 3.1, I should say, when Ulduar came out, you had Ulduar, which was so cleverly designed that you were in a boss fight on normal, and you could make a decision to do something in that fight to push it to heroic. So you're fighting, let's say, Mimron.
Yeah, the
and
button. Yeah.
You decide if you're going to press the button and push it into heroic. Or if you're fighting Little XT, and Little XT exposes his heart, and then you've got, right, guys, girls, we can either not kill the heart and continue to do this on normal, we just DPS it, but obviously it still affects the health going down. Or we smash the heart down and we push it into heroic. That is such an organic way of tweaking a boss fight. Such an organic way. The game registers, you push the boss into heroic mode, adjusts the rewards accordingly. Or whether or not you chose not to push it into heroic mode, and therefore just kept it normal. So you had stuff like Ulduar that had
innovations.
One level of difficulty. Well, yeah, just one level of difficulty. You all went in on the same page. What you did when you were inside there, when it came to the boss fights, was entirely up to you. Like Yogg at the end, perfect example. Again, you have the four Titans. Do you take them with you into the fight to give you buffs that will allow you to defeat Yogg easier? Or do you decide to leave one of them still up and remove a buff? Or two of them up and remove a buff? Or three? Or four? You know, such an organic way of choosing difficulty instead of going, right, we've got LFR, and if that's not good enough for you, we've got normal. But normal is the same as heroic, but it's just heroic's a little bit harder. It's got the same gear, but the gear looks a different colour. And then you got Mythic, and Mythic's like 20 people. So we like everything changes then, but it's got the shoulders. The shoulders are different. You know what I mean? It's just like, what the fuck?
Oh, they've actually spoken out against why they're not going to keep doing that Ulduar level of choosing your difficulty. They said that
it was innovative.
Yeah, they said that it was actually kind of confusing for people not knowing exactly what to do to bump up the difficulty. Like a lot of people would just kill the heart in what's the thing's name? XT.
Little XT.
Yeah. And also what else was I say? They didn't know how to like create this stuff with every single encounter going forward. It's just a lot easier for them if they just have a menu tab that you just go click and then.
It's a lot easier for them if they don't bother.
Pretty much. That's the name of the game right now, unfortunately.
Because you're too stupid as a player to either read dialogue that an NPC is giving you that will hint towards how to change it into heroic mode. Like if you had like Bran with you in Ulduar, and then Bran, when we got to, and he was like moving with us from boss to boss because we're going as a sort of a unit. It would have been even, you know, you had the followers, Bran and the followers, the expedition behind. It would have been really cool, but they were like sticking around at the edge while we did all the fighting. You know, because they're not fighters. Right, we're finished. Come on with us. And they're running through Ulduar with you. That would have been, oh my god, I just made Ulduar even better. But you know, you got to Lil XT, and Bran was just like, all right, and here we are, fucking Little XT, right? He's right, cunt. And if you punch his heart out because he's a twat, then he will actually get even stronger. That's all they have to put. That's sort of line of dialogue saying, if you kill his heart, he's gonna get really pissed and strong. And that's like, right, so if we kill his heart, we move it into heroic mode. Gotcha. Yep. And then you get onto the council, the Iron Council. And you're just like, if you leave Steel Bringer up to last, that cunt's gonna fuck you up. You know, that's all they have to do to kind of like do that. But so we get probably onto your second thing, which is the more realistic of the two, which is CBA.
Yep. Yeah, it's just a lot easier, and you know, it's not as if people threw up a giant stink about it. People were just like, oh, you don't have that in the game anymore. That kind of sucks. It wasn't like, you know, fuck you, Blizzard, put it back in. I'm unsubscribing. Nothing like that. So they took that as like the community agrees that we are making the correct decision now.
Does the community agree that 6.1 is the correct way to go in a major content?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you can see all the likes of their video guide. You can see
the Twitter integration video.
Comment on the official like posts and stuff. You know, they're always, oh man, this is gonna change. My grandma wants to play now. She's excited. This is gonna be great. Yeah. Nah.
Yeah, I don't quite see that. I mean, the last time when I did the no content please we're WoW subscriber video, and I actually have a link to the Blizzard Twitter video right here, and currently it has 360 likes, 3,280 dislikes.
That's pretty fucked.
Yeah. So let's say approximately 10% of people say that's cool. 90% see it for what it is, which is just free marketing for Blizzard. Because fuck you and proper content and supporting patches. So we are we the problem though? Are we the problem? Are we why we have 6.1?
Yeah, we every time Blizzard opens their butt cheeks and lets forth some brown justice, we're just like, oh man, it's delicious. Yeah, no, we're totally the problem.
Oh, feed me more.
Exactly.
Feed me more.
I'm actually looking at the Mr. Pandaria announcement trailer and how the like to dislike ratio was, and even that was still 50-50. People were still okay with it, but this new trailer, I mean, 300, like 3,000, that's crazy bad.
Yeah.
People hate it.
Also, the video is unlisted, which means you have to have the link to watch it, and they're going to be providing this link on websites which support Blizzard wholeheartedly and impartially. Yeah. They're going to go up on those websites, which are actually, obviously pro World of Warcraft websites, as well as their own. So these aren't Joe Blogs who's come from, who's just come on to start trolling your vid, Blizz. This is going to the community almost directly. And this is the community kind of reaction to this sort of dross. Now, do I do a lot of tweeting about World of Warcraft? Yeah, because that's my channel. I do a fair bit of tweets that pertain to World of Warcraft. Would it be easier for me to click a button in game if I do something like when I do my mount farming, for example, and I get a mount? Would it be easier for me to click that button that says, "Oh yeah, I've just defeated the Lich King," and then I type, "and I got invincible," and then tweet it out? A little bit, absolutely. No, I'm not gonna lie and say no. It's gonna be a little bit, but it's what they've set up. It's all the predetermined text which has been set up that so people can just go click done and not think about having to write a tweet. It's that predetermined text which is going to hashtag World of Warcraft, hashtag Blizzard, hashtag whatever hashtag they want to fucking hashtag. That's just pure promotional material,
pretty much.
And how much effort does it take to integrate that? Because obviously they've got to work with Twitter to integrate it. So there's got to be probably the vast majority of developers' time for 6.1 has been communicating and developing this fucking Twitter integration instead of going on content for us as players. It's how can we get this? We're going to put all our time and effort and shit into this self-promotional tool, which about 4% of the community will actually get any legitimate benefit from.
Well, I might actually give Blizzard the benefit of the doubt here. As much as things have gone horribly wrong in the past, and we've seen their track record.
How many times do we say that?
Yeah,
gotta give them the benefit of the doubt here.
When Wrath was out and the Argent tournament patch came out with the really crappy raid where it was all set in one room, everyone was like,
I like that.
Well, a lot of people didn't.
I admit I'm in the minority, but
so when that happened, a lot of people were saying like really shit things about Blizzard. What the fuck have you guys been doing? You came out with Ulduar, and then you came out with this, crap stain. Like, what have you guys been doing? And it was only at the end when you saw how much content was in ICC, and you saw that they had the 3 extra dungeons in addition to this big raid, that you realized they were doing that instead of doing anything for that patch. So, I think. As much as it kills...
I think it was quite innovative. I think it's just quite different. I mean, if all raids were exactly the same, we wouldn't really get anywhere.
Yeah.
The Argent tournament was what the Argent tournament was. It wasn't just a raid, it was a raid in a dungeon. It wasn't just a raid in a dungeon. It was a raid in a dungeon and this whole ethos around it with the actual tournament itself, with the jousting and the jousting. The jousting, and then going off to Stranglethorn Vale, I forget what it's called, by Undercity, and finding out who the black Black Knight was and all that, and then defeating him and all this kind of stuff. There was a lot of kind of story and lore and effort and all that put into it, and they were just like, right, as opposed to not being lazy, but they're just like, right, what if we experiment and just had some sort of gladiatorial raid where trash actually doesn't make sense here. You know, where it's literally we're determining the strength of who are the bravest people which need to get through. Love it or loathe it. You know, a lot of people don't like it. I was one of the few that liked it because I just thought it was something different. I saw it for what I thought. When we talk about giving Blizzard the benefit of the doubt, I saw it for what I saw it at, which is not just a lazy raid, but because it had the dungeon attached to it and everything that went on around it, it was all part of the same thing. It was all part of the integrated thing. The only thing that I thought was shit was actual gear. The Alliance gear looked fucking wank, and the way that the mage, the warlock, and the priest, you know, the sets, the cloth sets, the mail sets, just look different, just slightly different colors. That is the only thing that I had the problem with. If they had their own individual tiers, I seriously think if they had their own individual tiers, they probably wouldn't have been the outcry. I think a lot because of everything was reskinned for each cloth. I think that had an impact on people more often than not. But I saw it for what it was, which is something innovative, something different, a tournament-based raid, which, let's face it, a lot of other MMORPGs actually have full stop, as opposed to reams and reams of useless trash.
Well,
they have this sort of thing.
So, my perspective on that patch is that every raid and every dungeon, I mean, to be honest, the aesthetics doesn't matter to me that much. Like, it's just a raid. I am there for the encounters more than anything else, and I appreciated that there was no trash. So I'm kind of talking from a majority kind of standpoint, where a lot of people didn't like it, you know, for whatever reason. My main point was that at the time, everyone thought that Blizzard were wasting, you know, their time. It was only later on that you realize they're working on all this other shit. So that's where the benefit of the doubt comes in. So you can only really wait until the end of the expansion and then review what happened based on, you know, what transpired. That's why I always come out with why did this expansion fail at the end of an expansion, because then I can look back and see exactly what took place. We all do the reviews when the expansion's over. We're kind of just speculating for the most part, and you know, speculating based on this shitty ass patch, and that's exactly what it is. It's just a very small minor patch that has been, you know, classed as a big patch with minor changes and stuff. It just doesn't say very good things.
Yeah, 2.1 brought Black Temple.
Yeah.
And then you had 2.0 with all the other raids around it. And then 2.2, don't talk about that. Exactly. And then 2.3 brings Sunwell Plateau. Fucking huge raid. And you got the whole of the Isle of Keldanas around it. So again, it wasn't just a raid, it was this huge hub with a shit ton of stuff to do. And if 6.2 is going to be the final patch of this expansion's life, to me, it highlights even more how 6.1 is fucking abysmal. Yeah, and absolutely just ridiculous bit of thing to come in. Like 90% of this shit should be hot fixes for a start, not kind of patch fucking integration. You know, if classes are fucking broken, fix them. Shamans are fucking struggling, man. Shamans are struggling their fucking asses off in PvP, and you've got Resto Druids lolling the way through it. You know, and you're waiting, 3 months have gone by, and you're waiting for fixes for that? Yeah. You know, that is unacceptable bullshit. A lot of this stuff should have been fixed in the first 2 weeks of 6.0's launch. Or certainly should have definitely been got on with and begin to, you know, right, we'll do a little bit of a hotfix here, next week we'll do another hotfix here, you know, and you just keep that going. But that's what the vast majority of this kind of thing is. Yeah, good. No, it's just about to say, with ICC, and you were talking about the majority of people not quite going into the Trial of the Champions business. Okay, and we'll take that as a given. You got to look what's behind it, and like you said, what's in front of it. What was behind it? Ulduar. Amazing Ulduar. What was in front of it? ICC. Fucking unbelievable ICC, with 3 dungeons to tag onto it, which irks me when Blizzard say, well, if we bring you out another raid boss, you lose 6 dungeons and your arm and another expansion. You know, fuck off, you prick. Stop saying that sort of nonsense. You've done it before in the past with less people. You're not doing it now because you're a lazy cunt, and move on. And then so you've got to look what's in behind and in front of it. With 5.2 with the Isle of Thunder, which again, raid with hub around it, and I think those sort of raids work the best. So that's why I think 5.2 was pretty good as terms of content and patches. Pretty damn good. There was some good progression with the Art of Thunder and the Throne of Thunder raid. Some of it didn't quite hit the mark when you went underground, but when you got into the end of it and the beginning of it, it was all pretty good stuff. But what was behind it? 5.1, pretty shit. What was in front of it? 5.3, utter garbage.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to look at. With 2.0, at least you've got, 2.1, you've got all your raids, you've got the Eye, you've got Gruul's Lair, you've got Serpentine, SSC. I think another one I'm missing, Magtheridon. You got all that, and then you get blah, blah, blah. You get your Black Temple. And then in the future, you've got your, annoying, just forget 2.2 for now, because patches was still not quite working how they work nowadays. It wasn't until really Wrath of the Lich King that they suddenly became major content patches. And then you had Sunwell Plateau after it. So you got all this good stuff around it. If we're going to be looking at 6.3 as a potential, so we're looking at 6.2, which is the Iron Citadel, and we look what's behind it, 6.1, utter garbage. What are we going to be looking at? Well, history is now going to be telling us that 6.3 is going to be utter garbage.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, we'll definitely have to come back and revisit our thoughts on, why the 6.1's so bare bones when the expansion's kind of over. We should probably wrap up the video soon. Did you have any final thoughts on this awful patch?
Yeah, I mean, final thoughts on this is it's not just that it's a bad patch to me. It shows to me how little Blizz actually give a shit about us as players. Because if I was a developer, and if somebody with any sort of level of responsibility within Blizzard, and this is what I was offering to my fan base, who pay money to play my game, as any sort of passable content, I would be ashamed of myself. I literally would be utterly ashamed of myself. And it doesn't matter if 6.2 is, mind-blowingly amazing. This sort of thing doesn't come out. You don't sacrifice one patch to make another patch better. We're legitimately coming to the edge, the realistic edge of life of content in 6.0. Not everybody raids, so if you don't raid, you're probably in a worse situation. But we are definitely coming to the end now of the legitimate, genuine lifespan as 6.0. This is not even good enough. It's not even beginning to get good enough to offer anything.
It's not just that, but we have to wait a certain amount of time now before the next patch. That's
3 months. 4 months.
So we're going to be dealing with the content we got right now for quite a while, and that's kind of a problem. Yeah,
because we know a raid's coming in 6.2. Blizzard have already said that. We know that's coming. And with the fact that they've also let loose now that Tanaan Jungle is going to be 6.2.
Yeah.
So that's kind of slipped out. And I think that's kind of purposely slipped out because people are just so pissed, because a lot of people thought Tanaan Jungle was going to be 6.1. But I thought 6.1 was going to be your Farahlon. And your places like, Farahlon in the northeast, and then the little island in the southwest is a kind of almost Isle of Giant-esque type of place. So that's what I thought we were legitimately looking at. Yeah. This is abysmal. It's legitimately abysmal. It's shameful because it's just showing that they don't care about their community. They don't care. They care about your money, but they don't care about what you're playing.
So sum up, it's not so good.
I sum up, it's amazing. 10 out of 10. Game of the year patch.
Okay, we'll have to agree to disagree.